The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Go Cowboys! This is Girls Talk, Boys Talk, presented by Jigsaw Dating, preferred dating partner of the Dallas Cowboys, and broadcasting live from Dallas Cowboys World Headquarters at the Star.
Welcome into Girls Talk, Boys Talk, presented by Jigsaw Dating, the preferred dating app of the Dallas Cowboys. We're trying to figure out our camera situation here.
I was like, left?
Camera.
Right.
So a good start for us here on the pod on this beautiful Tuesday afternoon. Ladies, we are tying a bow on Sunday's game versus Detroit as we get ready to look ahead to the Chicago game coming up on Sunday. Obviously, a little bit of breaking news today ahead of the trade deadline. The Cowboys making a trade with the Raiders. They acquired defensive tackle Jonathan Hankins and a 2024 seventh-round pick in exchange for a 2023 sixth-round pick. That's according to Ian Rappaport, Tom Pelissero. I always say his name wrong. Pelissero. We also confirmed it here in-house. So he brings a lot to the table. He's 6'3", 340 pounds. Patrick Nosey Walker described him earlier as the Jason Peters of the defense. So that's exciting to get some size. Just a couple of things about him, and then I'm going to open the floor because I love to hear from you ladies. He's a former second-round pick from the Giants back in 2013. He has been in the league for 10 seasons with 366 tackles, 36 tackles for loss, 47 quarterback hits, and 14 and a half sacks. But really, the big thing here is that he's going to kind of help shore up that run defense. We've talked about where that defense has a little bit of weakness for the Cowboys. That's kind of where it's at. So hopefully him coming in will kind of help bolster that defensive line, particularly on the interior. So I want to open the floor, ladies. What do we think about the Jason Peters of the defense?
I like the addition. I think it's timely. The Cowboys are going up against Chicago, the Giants, the Eagles, and the Jags in the next 4 games, or it's coming up soon. They're going to have to deal with these defenses offenses that like to run the ball. We saw Chicago yesterday. They do a lot with the run game, the RPO, whatever. So I think they're just trying to prep. I like that they're kind of getting ahead of it in a way, getting him in here before the bye. So that's going to give him some more time to get acclimated, get into the playbook and understand what's going on. I like the addition. We've been asking for a ham in the middle, in the middle of the defense right now. I think it's going to we'll see how he fits into this rotation, but for right now, I like the addition for sure.
And I think there's been a lot of talk of how can this defense get any better, and it always goes back to their lack of run defense, right? And so I think adding this addition, yes, it's going to be beneficial, but also you look at the teams that they're about to play, like you just mentioned. We already know, they have their bye week, and then we're talking after that. You have Green Bay, who obviously is going to rely on that run with Aaron Jones. We know what Aaron Jones can do when he gets going. Aaron Jones is one of the greatest running backs. I'm a little biased, being that I'm from I'm from the El Paso area, and it was really cool seeing him, transition through that time. But I will give credit to Aaron Jones. Also, we know how the Giants are going to rely on the run. We already saw that this season. So when you're looking at the longevity of really this decision, it's going to be more helpful than it is hurtful, especially with the teams you have, especially when you look even further ahead to the NFC East as a whole, and you're starting to look at the wins and the losses that are going to really play a big part in playoff potential and all of that, whether it be a wild card spot or whatever the case is. So I think this is the half of the season where those things matter even more than they did the first half of the season, because it's going to come down to simple wins, simple losses, and all that good math and good stuff.
Yeah, and to add to that, that Patrick calls him kind of the Jason Peters. I think also, too, just having him in that room, at that tackle position. Cowboys have a lot of young guys in here in this locker room. So when you start talking about experience and bringing someone that's experienced in that position in this room, I think it's going to pay dividends, because you'll see, even with the gap integrity with some of the guys, it's a learning process, learning when to shed and tackle, where to shed and tackle. And I think him being in that locker room could help, just like with Jason Peters with the younger tackles.
Yeah, we talk about the schedule. The Cowboys facing the 4 top-ranked rush offenses coming up: Chicago #1, Giants, Eagles, and the Jaguars the rest of the way. So you talk about playing against guys like Dalvin Cook, Derrick Henry, Jonathan Taylor, even against the Lions on Sunday. That was really a big issue. They could not stop the run. And so I think that this is going to really provide that depth like you talked about. Here's where things get interesting, though. The Cowboys now have 10 defensive linemen on the roster with Terrell Basham coming off of that 21-day practice window. Is there such a thing as too much?
I would say, normally you would say, oh my God, there's so many humans. But let's not get too cute. Let's not forget last season when last year, I mean, this is a long season. And I think people have to remember, like, a 17-game season is a long time. And we're still very early in this season. Like, injuries happen, even nitpicky injuries. And to have the guys that can come in, even if the guy's not dealing with something serious, it's not a big deal, that can come in and play and be ready and available, I think says something. But also, too, with the different rotations and packages, you know, that the Cowboys like to roll out. My bad, y'all.
I keep thinking it's mine.
I know. I was like, wait.
My bad.
Usually it's my computer.
Aisha's popping over there.
It literally was just tagging me or something, of course.
Sorry, that was me.
But nah. I think depth is something that we've seen with this Cowboys team is helped, and even last year. And I think the mindset going into it, continuing to keep depth at these different positions, is going to help later over time. Fresh legs on the defensive line, it helps you later in the playoffs.
And I think keeping that same ideal of rotating players like we see very well on the O-line on the other side of the ball with Jason Peters, you know, to that statute. I think that is very helpful for keeping people young, keeping people fresh, especially as, you know, they get more banged up as the season goes on. It allows for, you know, more of a rotation to keep them healthy for a longer period of time, because I cannot believe how fast this season has gone by.
I know, it's already week 8.
But that's what I'm saying. We're basically almost to that halfway point, and now you have to start thinking, you know, you've always been thinking playoff contention, playoff, all of that, but you have to think of, you know, when it comes to a player's health, you have to think of the long-term effects and how that's going to help. And I'm really glad you brought up that veteran leadership in the locker room, because I think we've seen plenty of examples to how that's benefited the team already.
Yeah, and you talk about veteran leadership. Another transaction made today, adding
Cha-ching.
cornerback Kendall Sheffield to the practice squad to help that Jordan Lewis injury. As we know, he is out for the season, had surgery on Sunday with a Liz Frank injury. And we talk about not trying to get attached and separating the fandom from being a reporter, but you hate to see stuff like that happen, you know, making a big play, a game-changing play, just to miss out on the rest of the season. It's really tough for Jordan Lewis, so we obviously wish him well, and we wish him a good recovery on that timetable. But like I said, adding Kendall Sheffield, a couple quick stats about him. He was a Falcons 4th-round pick back in 2019. He played in 38 games before being waived in May. He was claimed by the Texans and then released earlier this month. He has 101 tackles and 2 forced fumbles with Atlanta. He's obviously on the practice squad for now, so we'll see kind of how he's able to work into the lineup. But Mike McCarthy was very open and very candid about that loss to Jordan Lewis and just what that meant, losing a veteran leader in the secondary, a guy who he relies on, calls consistent. But he also specified Deron Bland stepping up. And I think that that's really interesting, because he had nothing but good things to say about Deron. And another key word that he said was how consistent Deron was. And I would love to hear you guys' thoughts on Deron and just that injury in general, and what the secondary, how that's going to have to shift now with Lewis out.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, I think it's something that, you know, gets taken for granted, but, like, this team is particularly young in a lot of spots, you know. So with Jordan, whatever treatment he has to go through and stuff, considering the fact that maybe he's not going to be in the locker room as much right now, I understand them bringing in a guy that's kind of been here before, or whatever the case may be, to fill that spot. Now, in regard to Deron Bland, I'm excited to see what he can do doing slot work. I think he plays well on the outside too, but one thing about Deron Bland that excites me is that he is gritty. He's not afraid to get guys off of, you know, the line of scrimmage. He's not afraid to get in their face. But also, I think his size, you know, Jordan Lewis plays big. I've always said he plays big, because he's not the biggest guy to be playing in that nickel, but he tackles well. And I think Deron Bland coming and being in the middle of that defense, where you are getting gashed sometimes with those crossing routes and stuff like that, those quick slants, I think maybe his size is going to help get guys off their dime a little bit coming off the line. And he also has a nose for the ball. It like, every time he came in training camp, preseason, like, he found the ball. And I think part of that is just natural ball skills and having that. And to add that to the middle of this defense, which is something I think you're lacking a little bit right now, I think says something. So I'm excited just to get his attitude out on the field, because he has a way that he plays that is just like, hey, I'm here. I'm here. And if a ball's in the air, he thinks
he's going to get it. He's going to get it. He's proved it.
Exactly. So you're putting another guy. We may have some growing pains, whatever the case may be, because he's a younger guy. He still has to learn the position to its full potential, but at the same time, he's instinctive in a lot of the things he's done on film. You just didn't expect to see from a young rookie player. So I'm excited to see him out there, y'all.
I think to sum it up is Deron Bland is anything but bland. Yeah, I mean, really, that is like my favorite thing to say.
Deron Bland is anything but bland.
I think when it comes to Deron Bland, he's somebody that popped out early on in training camp. When you look back at everything training camp, that was a name that everyone's like, wait, who is this guy? I want to see a little bit more of him. And so I think this is exactly the culture that the Cowboys have really created at this point. You're looking at the younger guy stepping up, and it goes very similar to what was echoed throughout this entire season so far, which is, hey, we have enough depth, try saying that 10 times fast, that you have the younger guys that can step up. And so I think that's a real benefit, that you have the younger players that are ready to go and ready to step up, but also take the mentorship. I mean, we talk about that a lot. We just talked about it, but you take the mentorship from those veterans. I mean, it's scary. It is scary how much depth is within this team. So I'm excited to see a little bit more of Deron Bland, so I can keep saying he's anything but bland. And if you're saying that on Twitter, you better tag me.
I just put it on Twitter and tagged you in it. So there you go.
See, I have my notifications on, so there we go.
Haley, quick with it.
I did see her write something down. I was like, I know she just wrote.
I did give you your flowers. I did tag you. I said Jess is dropping some bars on the pod. So
I appreciate you.
There's that. And while we're on the subject of young guys, like Dak Prescott said on Sunday in his press conference, and Zeke echoed these sentiments yesterday on Cowboys Hour. This is the most talented rookie class that he has had the pleasure of getting to work with, getting to see develop. And I think this is the time of the season where you really start to see not just your depth, but that next man up mentality. I think along with the theme of resiliency, the Cowboys have really bought into that next man up mentality, because, when you talk about Deron Bland, his first game he played in, he found out an hour before kickoff that he was going in, and he finished with a game-sealing pick.
And he knew the play the whole way.
Yeah. So, I think it's just really cool. We can't go without talking about Sam Williams, a guy who is very highly growing on me. Just the game that he had, 2 sacks, a forced fumble, a fumble recovery that pretty much put the game away. We've got some sound as well from Jerry Jones. Jazzy, if you could cue that up. But here's what Jerry Jones had to say about Sam Williams this morning.
When I think of Sam Williams, I just picture just running. I don't know when I've seen a player run as well and run as much as he does. And he'll go from sideline to sideline, run as long as you want him to all day long. And he's got the size to go with it. But to take advantage of that size and being able to run, and his quickness is but really what is his skill, if you will. And he's a guy that has evolved as a pass rushing weapon when he was at school, and he's just starting to take it to another level. And Dan and the leadership out there with the Quinn and the leadership of the coaches have got him pegged right. They see his skill and are using it. And so I'm excited about Sam Williams, what he adds to really he's unique in terms of adding that speed run to our defense, and especially our pass rush.
So I know that was a little long, but there was no point in there that I felt like I could take anything out of that, because everything he said was so true. And when you think about what makes Micah Parsons so dangerous is his speed, right? And again, Zeke talked about it yesterday so much on Cowboys Hour, was how freakishly fast Micah Parsons is. And now you've got another young guy who's coming in. You've got the owner saying, when I think of Sam Williams, I think of running. And it is scary. It's scary in a good way, if you're wearing a Cowboys uniform, to think you now have 2 guys who can pass rush the way they're pass rushing. making big plays down the stretch, forcing fumbles, recovering fumbles. At one point, Sam picked that guy up like WWE and threw him down. You know what I
girl,
mean?
not WWE references. Don't start.
I know that was a tribute to Rob Phillips because he loves WWE.
It was a good body.
But it's crazy to think, because we were talking before the show, how we can make Micah more effective and keep him from getting banged up. But maybe that's your answer.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Sam Williams is, and when I hear Jerry talk about he can just run and run and run, his motor is something that was evident on tape, like coming out of college, and I think that's a big reason why he's here, is that he does not give up on plays. And that's something you see from Micah. It's so funny because you put them next to each other and people be saying they twins, and it's funny to me because I'm like, okay, we'll play the same. Okay, Sam, well. And but I also, too, Dan Quinn's presser yesterday, he talked about Sam and how, at the beginning of the season, you saw him make some of those mistakes early on. And Dan Quinn talked about wanting him to make those mistakes and getting those out the way and continuing developing. The increase in his snaps, I would assume he's earning it. He's earning that increase in his snaps because he is playing more disciplined. He is getting, he's effort. Effort is everything. Mm-hmm. But that's something that, like, I expected for him anyway, but he's also getting better with his pass rush moves and his counters and stuff. And I think it just really attests to the coaching that's in this room, like in this on the defensive side of the ball specifically. When Sam came in, a lot of people, he was not polished. He talked about being a raw player and, learning. And so I'm excited just to continue to see him develop, and we're getting to experience it and actually pay dividends. Like, it's paying dividends so early in the season.
And I just want to say shout out to the scouting department, because something you cannot teach is effort. You can't teach players to want to be better. You can't teach those kind of things. And I think what you're seeing is the culture that has been established here. It's all of these men that are so hard to come by that all want to be taught. They all want to be better. They all have accountability for themselves, which is very, very important, and each other. And it is just so nice to see just such versatility with men and players that want to be better in different ways. They're not just honed in on being better in one way. It's the versatility that I think makes this defense so scary. And so when Jerry Jones was talking right there, all I heard was versatility, because there's multiple things that he hit points on that, again, that's what also makes Micah a threat, is how versatile he is. And we've heard it echoed from every single coach, that the head coach that the Cowboys have played every single week. It is, well, why is Micah Parsons a big threat? Oh, well, because he's so versatile and he can do this and this and this. It's the same answer every week because it's such a threat for opposing offenses. So, I think it's amazing. You can't coach effort. You can't coach players to want to put that effort in. And so flowers for that.
And get better.
I think, too, real quick, because I also found this cute stat about Sam Williams that I'm going to drop in here. But I think what makes him really unique, too, is along the same lines of you can't teach effort. You also can't teach attitude. And there's something to be said about a guy who has come in, this is his first year as a professional football player. You see him in the locker room, you see him on the field. He's got this swagger about him where he's like, I know I'm better than you. And it just feels like, as a rookie, it's interesting.
Yeah, well, when you look, again, like when you look at what he was doing at his old school, they were rushing 3. Yeah. And he was getting home. So this is a guy that's like, I know what I'm capable of on so much, like working with so much less, and he's talked about his toolbox. So his toolbox, I need to get him one and put it in the locker room. But yeah, he talks about his toolbox, and he's just
like
adding,
Bob the Builder kind of thing.
Yeah. But he's just adding to it. He's just adding to it, and as he learns, the DM position, because it's not an easy position, y'all. Like, it's not easy. I think he's gonna continue to get better. He's improving in the run game in certain spots too. But his attitude is something that I felt like I saw from him, even when he was, because he's used to being the guy. Yeah. They asked him to go make a play, and he did. So he's like, now I can just be the guy sometimes. I ain't got to be the guy all the time. Yeah. So and that's why I think he makes the best of his snaps, because he understands, hey, this might be hit for me right now, like, because this is a deep line.
It's also funny you mentioned toolbox, because we also talk about how there's certain phrases that are echoed within this team. I have heard Kellen Moore say toolbox. I have heard Dan Quinn say toolbox, and Mike McCarthy say toolbox. So, again, they're bought into the culture. They're bought into their coaching, and you can't want anything more than that.
Williams is the 4th Cowboys rookie since 1982 to record 2 sacks and a forced fumble, joining, guess who? Micah Parsons.
Micah
Parsons, Victor Butler, and DeMarcus Ware. So, like we talked about earlier, maybe some shades of Micah, but we are proud of this rookie class. And with that, we're going to go ahead and take our first break here on Girls Talk, Boys Talk. But when we come back, it's Tuesday, y'all, so you know what that means. We've got another fabulous lady sliding into our fourth chair, and we're going to introduce you to our special guest when we come back here on Girls Talk, Boys Talk.
At Jigsaw Dating, we obviously want the Cowboys to bring that sixth ring home. But to be honest, we're more focused on finding the person who will put a ring on your finger. That's why we created a dating app that reveals your face through meaningful conversation, so you can date deeper. Because it's personality that matters the most, not looks. Join Jigsaw Dating today, dating partner of the Dallas Cowboys.
All right, Pepsi-loving football fans, it's time we had a lesson in trash talk. And I'm not talking about that stuff that happens on the field. What I'm talking about is trash, and it's the only thing that belongs in your garbage can. No, recycling might not be as thrilling as converting a 4th and long, but next time you're thinking about throwing that Pepsi Zero Sugar bottle away, just cap it back up and pretend you're down by 6 with the recycling bin wide open. Know the difference? Make a difference. Be a team player and recycle. Visit PepsiTrashTalk.com to learn more.
I'm Dak Prescott, quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys.
And they snap it to Prescott, who looks right. It's not there. He escapes left. He'll run for a first down.
Just like football, when it comes to crypto, it's important to have a team you can trust. With blockchain.com, I know I'm in good hands. Since 2011, they've been trusted by millions around the world to buy, sell, and trade cryptocurrency.
Prescott's going to run this himself. Run it up the middle, and he scores.
Whether you're new to crypto or an active trader, they've got you covered. What are you waiting for? Get started at blockchain.com.
Welcome back to Girls Talk, Boys Talk, presented by Jigsaw Dating, the preferred dating app of the Dallas Cowboys. I am so excited to introduce you to our special guest. But before we get there, let's head on over to Jess.
Guys, we're talking all about Halloween. I'm so excited to say this. I love Halloween so much. Celebrate spooky season this Saturday, October 29th at the Halloween Spooktacular at the Star, presented by Monument Reality. Realty, I'm sorry. Oh my goodness, I cannot read. Y'all have me distracted. Please. Come dressed in your Halloween best while you and the family trunk or treat, then head into the Star District for live music, spooky games, crafts, treats, and even more. This event will take place from 3 to 7, so for more information, head to thestardistrict.com. I love Halloween.
I'm okay with Halloween.
Halloween.
We'll get into
I tried to be spooky. Trying to get in the spooky season, y'all.
Your boys got all deep.
We are so excited on
Haters.
Tuesdays, y'all. This is a new segment we've kind of launched over the last couple of weeks where we have the pleasure of chatting with a fantastic woman within the Dallas Cowboys organization. And today is no different. We are chatting with Claire Gilbert, the performance dietitian for the Dallas Cowboys. Claire, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me. There it is. There's your applause.
We just kind of want to start this off, just open the floor to you. Tell us a little bit about you and what you do here at the Star.
Yeah, so I am a performance dietitian. It's me and my boss, Scott. So he's the director and I'm assistant. And I've been here this is my 4th season. My first 2 years, I was an intern. And then I started full-time in January of 2021. So I've been here for almost 3.5 years, so it's been good.
And is this something that you've always wanted to do? Did you know you would work within, sports specifically? And how did you even get into doing that? And tell us all about that journey.
Yeah, so I never thought I was going to be here in sports and specifically NFL. So when I started college in dietetics, but I thought I was going to do community nutrition because I wanted to work with kids too. So I was thinking like summer programs, really anything, food bank. That was really why I started in nutrition. But then I'm from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and I went to LSU. So I started helping with the undergrad sports nutrition program, but really just because my grades weren't really good.
So honest.
So yeah.
I know that's right.
So I just had to do everything I could to like get my resume built up, honestly. And so my friends were doing it, and so I just joined just because, resume builder, and then I ended up really liking it. And the reason I'm in it, like in sports, is similar to community nutrition, just helping people as people, no matter kind of where they're from, what they do, that kind of thing. Everybody needs to eat and everybody needs good nutrition. So it's cool because like the motivation behind it is the same, but it's just a totally different platform than I ever thought I was going to be in.
So real quick, can you just give us like a basic rundown of what your responsibilities are here with the Cowboys? You don't have to be super specific, but just so that listeners know.
Sure. So my boss and I split it up. Like his office is near the training table, which is our food, dining hall, cafeteria, and then I'm more in the weight room. So my office is the fueling station. So that's kind of
that. So everyone likes coming to chat with you because you've got the snacks.
I have the food. I make the smoothies too. So that's kind of where I'm at. And then we walk back and forth, but that's where our stations are. And so that's a lot of what I do is in the weight room when guys are lifting and coming in and out of there if they need smoothies, if just meal plans. It's a good place where everybody comes, so it's a good place to kind of check in with everybody and see how they are and all of that kind of stuff. And so that's kind of in general, I say like what I do is just kind of observing everyone, and because a lot of nutrition, you can't just, like not really knowing someone, I'm not just going to be like, you need to do this, you need to do that. It's a lot of like, okay, I see you doing this, or you say you're not sleeping well, or you're saying you're feeling this, like maybe try this. So it's kind of just getting to be able to know everybody and see their habits and see what they do and then making change from there. So that's kind of the big scope of what we do.
Very, very cool. And so, you've been here for 4 years, you said, going on 4. And so what really has stood out to you the most out of that time? Like, what is your favorite part of your job? Within that span of 4 years, there can be, just a favorite part. What is your favorite part? I feel like when we come to work, it kind of sometimes can be a little mundane, and you're in the thick of it, and you have one specific thing that keeps you coming to work that you're like, yeah, that fires me up. What's that one thing for you?
Yeah, I think, similar to what I mentioned before, it's just like the relationships and the motivation of getting to meet the guys where they're at. And I like being a dietitian too, because you get to work with the trainers, strength staff coaches. We also have our kitchen staff. Like it relates to everybody. So I like just being able to work with so many different people, and just, yeah, the relationship aspect, I think, is because it's a grind. It's a lot.
Okay. I have 2 questions. Number one, you said you went to LSU. So how do you feel about the game this past weekend?
Oh,
Are you a fan?
No, yeah, I'm a fan.
I'm like,
sorry.
It's a lot of LSU fans in the building, so I wanted to ask.
It was good. My parents were there. And it's fun because when I was in college, when we played Ole Miss, we stormed the field. And so it was just cool to see that people were doing that. It just was like a good memory that was brought back. So sorry, I was like the game this Saturday, last Saturday.
Like, I don't have a clue. I was like pulled up the schedule too, so I could be like, it's this.
I know.
I think they have a bye this week, so you were in the clear.
Yeah, I should have said last week. My bad. Okay,
No,
then do you have any tips? I know you mentioned obviously it can't be like specific to one person, but you mentioned like eating habits and sleep and stuff like that. Do you have any tips for us or anyone here about, how our eating can affect our sleeping habits?
Oh, yeah. let me see how I can. It's like a very broad. No, it's okay. I think a lot of it is balance, which is not, people don't want to hear that because it's not sexy. It's not like this, and this, but I think it is just like being in a routine too, I think it's very healthy for us, whether that's food, sleep, like getting in a pattern and kind of figuring out what works for you. I think that's extremely general, but that's part of it, is getting in a routine, especially for sleep. It's like going to bed at 9 and then 10 and then midnight and then 7. It's just like our bodies kind of get freaked out. So that's a huge part with sleep, and eating too, getting in balance, and just not being too strict on yourself. I think that's something that we can get really tied up in, of like, I can't eat this, I can eat this, like, oh, I had this, so I need to eat this. And it's just, it sucks the life out of living.
Yeah, I needed that last part. Thank you.
Yeah.
When it comes to, I guess, like your preparation for like work, or, what does that kind of look like? Because as you mentioned, you're spending a lot of time in the weight room, you're making smoothies. So from a preparation standpoint, how do you get ready for the day, I guess?
Yeah, so the day starts pretty early. Starts at like 6, and so I think a lot.
I know, right? So you're a morning person?
No.
It hurt me.
No, people know not to talk to me until like 10 a.m.
There you go.
Honestly, same,
Until you're a
though.
little awake.
Yeah, honestly, same.
That's
same.
funny. But I think, a lot of it is kind of like the fueling station, stocking that. So a lot of it's like physical inventory, like loading everything up, all that kind of stuff. And then some guys want breakfast smoothies and till the day really gets rolling. And then it's getting ready for practice and then going to lunch right after practice. And then we have a snack cart for the meetings and all that kind of stuff. So it's just really like getting food organized and placing it places. So
What do you think their favorite snack is? What I know it's probably one they be tearing up.
Yeah, we have these Dots pretzels right now that are really good.
Bomb.
Yeah,
Okay.
there are a few things that pistachios. They like the chili pistachios too.
Those are good.
Yeah.
So
Does the game day prep, sorry, Jess, does the
you're
game
good.
day prep look different than a practice prep?
It's similar, but we have a trunk that we basically load everything. It's like a little portable fueling station, I guess. We don't do smoothies, but it's more of we have pre-game meal, and then we'll go to the stadium, whether it's home or away, and we have the same trunk, and that has all of the pre-game like carbs, stuff like that in there. So kind of it's similar, but it's more like on the go. So
Gotcha.
And something that we really pride ourselves on is highlighting, women like yourself that come in here and they work in really a male-dominated industry. And so I know for me, like being a little girl looking up to women working in sports, it was always like, oh, I could do that one day. So what is your advice to maybe some of the girls that are watching that are trying to take a very similar career path, and what advice would you give them?
yeah. Well, I was still
Sorry, that was
figuring
so
it out.
deep.
No, it's good. I like these questions, but I just have to think sometimes. But I think a lot of it is I'm still figuring it out. So it's kind of just giving yourself a lot of, I don't know what the word is, grace or just like the freedom to feel different things, It's just, especially me, I was not growing up, I was like, I'm not going to be in sports. So whenever I got this job, it was like, what is this like world? Like I didn't really know football, didn't really understand like the sports world. Like I had, interned as an undergrad, but it wasn't like so immersed in it now, where you work with 99.9% men. And thankfully here, like my boss is amazing. Like if everyone had a Scott, that would be just because he's one of the just best for listening and like trying to understand where I'm coming from with things. And so he's made it very helpful. So if everyone had one of those, just find yourself one of those for a boss. But
Scott, if you're listening, that sounds like a promotion to me.
but yeah, I think just like giving yourself grace, and also just kind of trying to figure out how you fit into it, and all of that's listening. And I've also realized like being relatable is not my approach, because I can't really be relatable to a lot of the people I work with. So it's just listening and meeting them where they're at, and like being, okay, this is my role, and I'm not the same as everyone else. So, but I can still have a role. And so how can I serve other people? So I don't know. That's kind of my...
I know that last
Perfect
one gave me,
answer.
that gave me goosebumps.
Yeah, that was amazing.
Your rose, sis.
Along those same lines, what are some challenges that you've dealt with and kind of had to work through? Because, I feel like we all have a laundry list of things we've had to deal with, but from a position you're in, what are some of those challenges?
Sure. I think just like figuring out the culture again. And I think that's partly because of me not really, knowing what I was getting myself into 100%. But that again, it was like just taking a step back and being like, okay, where, like being yourself and like figuring out where that fits in, and that can just take some time. So I think I'm still figuring that out. And I think that especially with COVID and all of that stuff, 2 years was I kind of don't count that because there wasn't any stability there. But
That's so fair. No, I was just saying, like, I didn't even think about the fact that you said you've been here 4 years.
Yeah.
And 2 out of those years maybe were weird
Sure,
for you because
yeah.
of COVID. So
because 2019 is when I started, and 2020 was
COVID,
what
so-
it was,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
2021 was still kind of crazy. So yeah, so maybe ask me in like
4 more years.
have you back on, and then you can tell us how things are getting better for you.
Hey, there we go. Girls Talk, Boys Talk. Still, hopefully here 4 years down the road. We'll have you back on.
sure, thanks.
We love having these conversations. It's so good to get insight from other women in the building. So, Claire, thank you so much. Claire Gilbert for our performance dietitian. We love getting to chat. We are going to go ahead and take our second break here on Girls Talk, Boys Talk. When we come back, we are going to tie up some loose ends with the Lions and look ahead to the Bears when we come back on Girls Talk, Boys Talk.
At Jigsaw Dating, we obviously want the Cowboys to bring that sixth ring home. But to be honest, we're more focused on finding the person who will put a ring on your finger. That's why we created a dating app that reveals your face through meaningful conversation, so you can date deeper. Because it's personality that matters the most, not looks. Join Jigsaw Dating today, dating partner of the Dallas Cowboys.
All right, Pepsi-loving football fans, it's time we had a lesson in trash talk. And I'm not talking about that stuff that happens on the field. What I'm talking about is trash, and it's the only thing that belongs in your garbage can. No, recycling might not be as thrilling as converting a 4th and long, but next time you're thinking about throwing that Pepsi Zero Sugar bottle away, just cap it back up and pretend you're down by 6 with the recycling bin wide open. Know the difference? Make a difference. Be a team player and recycle. Visit PepsiTrashTalk.com to learn more.
With Smoothie King's original Angel Food and new Angel Food Slim without added sugar, you no longer have to choose between treating yourself and hitting your goals this summer. You don't have to choose between great taste and feeling great. Because at Smoothie King, every blend is made with whole fruits and no syrups, so you can satisfy your cravings without compromise. The only choice you will need to make is which one is best for you. Try our classic Angel Food or the new Angel Food Slim, blended without added sugar. Smoothie King, rule the day.
Welcome back to Girls Talk, Boys Talk, presented by Jigsaw Dating, the preferred dating app of the Dallas Cowboys. I know I can't hear. Can you hear?
There we go.
There I am. I felt like I was shouting there for a second.
It's all good.
We had our headphones open there. Anyways, this is Girls Talk, Boys Talk, presented by Jigsaw Dating, the preferred dating app of the Dallas Cowboys. We're going to tie up some loose ends, but before we do that, we're going to head over to Jess.
Very fitting that we're tying up those loose ends and looking ahead because we're talking about single game tickets, limited tickets for the remaining home games of the 2022 Dallas Cowboys season at AT&T Stadium are available now. Visit DallasCowboys.com/tickets or SeatGeek.com, the official ticketing provider of AT&T Stadium, for more information. I love that. Anytime we talk about those single game tickets, I'm like, everyone, go stock up, go to all the home games, be loud, cheer when the defense is on, but not when the offense is on. We just know the rules, you know?
Please know the rules.
I didn't know the rules, so there you go. So, ladies, we have had Lions, we've had Tigers, and now we have Bears coming up on Sunday.
Love that.
But before we get to the Bears, just wrapping some things up here with the Lions, something that I've kind of seen back and forth on social media, people questioning if Sunday's win was a good win, with the Lions holding the Cowboys to just 3 points at halftime, just some of the ways that things kind of ended up. All intents and purposes, the Lions were not bad. I think it was a good win. I think it was a hard-fought win. Jerry talked about that this morning.
Yeah.
The score of 24-6 really wasn't indicative of the battle that the Cowboys had to face with the Lions. So, your thoughts? Final thoughts?
I think it's a mixture of two things. I felt like the Lions. Anytime anybody plays the Cowboys, they're gonna play. Like, don't get it twisted. They're going to get up and play. But at the same time, I think the Lions made adjustments after the bye. Like, there were some things that you saw from them in coverage, even disguising coverages. It's Udoku. I could not get his name. Y'all was struggling.
You got this.
What he did in the box, those were things you weren't seeing from him as heavily on the film at the beginning of the season, but I just think that the Lions came out and they played inspired, aggressive football early in that game. They tackled well, and I think it just made it hard on the Cowboys. They shot themselves in the foot quite a few times, execution, that type of stuff.
And
penalties.
Thank you.
And then in the second half,
where's your shot? There it goes.
Yeah. But then in the second half,
it doesn't count. I'm not talking about the Cowboys. It doesn't count.
Yeah, but in the second half that we talked about, they made the adjustments that were necessary to pull out the game. And then obviously the defense really adjusted to what they were doing offensively. So I think it was a solid win for what you were expecting from your quarterback returning back. But also, too, I just want to remind everybody that this is week 7. Because I'm sick of it. Like, This is week 7, y'all. There are 11 more weeks left here. So the offense kind of finding their identity and taking time with this younger receiver core, there's things going right for them, especially when you start looking at play action and stuff like that. Like, there's things going right for them. They got to be better on third down.
Yes.
They got to. This week, they actually weren't terrible on second down.
Yes.
It was third down.
Yes, it was.
And so they have to do better at third down. And this offense really is just in a place to where, like I said before, they're going to have to earn it in a way, is especially with people knowing that your receiver core is still kind of up and coming. You can tell that defenses are playing you that way. So I think the passing game in particular is they're going to have to continue to work at it and earn that respect, and hopefully that just continues to open up the offense. I think Dak did some dope things though in the passing game, just nuance, just nodding guys off, looking guys off, even his hard counts, like stuff that you want to see from your guy, coming back. He read defenses well in certain areas as well. Like, I think people should be looking forward to some of the things offensively you may be doing moving forward from this tape. And I don't think it's anything to just be upset about. It's to be expected to have some hiccups in his first game back, and it sets the foundation, like you said, Jess.
Yeah, well, and I think what was very overlooked about the Lions is you see their record and you go, oh, easy win for the Cowboys. Yeah. I mean, but no, really, you look back, weeks 1 through 4, the Lions had the number 1 scoring offense in the league. The win pre-Cowboys game, they were number 2 behind the Bills and just ahead of the Eagles, who... Yeah, that speaks for itself, right? But really, this was never meant to be an easy feat for the Cowboys, and I think that was such a common misconception to why people are now saying, oh, yeah, well, of course they won. It was an easy win. No, because this was going to be a test for the Cowboys, and especially a test when you have your quarterback coming in post-injury, post-throwing hand injury. Let's call that what that is. And I think this was the perfect game for Dak to shake off the rust. To be honest, I was looking through my notes earlier today where I was going through drive by drive, and the second half, yes, was the better half, but also specifically the 9th drive of the game from the Cowboys. And here we go again. That is when the Lions defense shot themselves in the foot. But I will say, despite those 2 penalties that the Lions put up during that same drive, that was the Cowboys' best drive. And that drive alone gave a glimpse of what you're about to see from the Cowboys, more so when they're gelled together and Dak has more reps in. He has more time, because also what I am so sick of hearing already is about Dak and, everyone was coming out of the woodworks on Twitter to talk about Dak. Like, bye. But I'm glad I was at the game so I didn't have to see all of it. But the thing was what people also forget is the preseason was so short. So even when you did see Dak play against Tampa Bay, he didn't take any preseason snaps. So really, everybody, week 1, that preseason is so short, that is still essentially your preseason going into week 1, even though it's a regular season game. Dak didn't take preseason snaps. And I think what you're seeing now really is the product of, yes, Dak got his new perspective from the sideline, but also he finally has his healthy wide receiver core, because he didn't have Michael Gallup. And we talked about this. That wide receiver core looks so much different from week 1 to what it does now. So all that to say, the Lions game was never meant to be an easy win, despite what the records say, because look at how they have been ranked. I think it was a great win. I think it was an obvious morale boost from coming off of the Eagles' loss, and I think it's a great starting point for the Cowboys.
Yeah, and it's important to note, too, that Dak even said that it wasn't his best game, and he knew that it wasn't going to be his best game. He said there was moments where, I did put a little bit too much zip on the ball. I was overambitious when I threw some of those passes, and so I think, having that personal accountability is always important, too. So obviously we'll see something different coming up this week. They start practice tomorrow, so we'll talk a little bit about that. Before we wrap up, ladies, again, as we are putting the Lions behind us, I want to know who's getting your game ball for Sunday's game as we transition to the Bears.
Oh, my.
For last week?
Yes.
For the
Lions. Who gets your game ball against the Lions?
I think I said yesterday. Can I say a different person?
Yeah,
today?
say a different one today.
Okay, let's see. Sugar. All right, I'm gonna be, because I looked at film. I'm gonna say Dalton Schultz.
Okay.
I'm gonna say Dalton Schultz. I think he threw some key blocks in this game. Honestly, he threw a key block with the Zeke hurdle run. But also too, just him getting out there and just showing the willingness to be out there and trying to fight through that injury. He is a big target for Dak, and I think that moving forward, he's gonna be important. So let's say Dalton.
I'm going to be very basic with mine. I'm going to say Dak. I mean, Dak gets my game ball.
I thought you were going to say Kevontae Turpin.
I almost did. I threw people for a loop, but no. Kevontae, we talked about how great the torpedo was. I've been meaning to say that, the torpedo. Thank you, Chris, for that. But I'm going to give Dak my game ball because just the fight that man had to get back on the field. And it wasn't his best game, but he's back. And like I said, it lays the foundation, it lays the groundwork. And anytime you see your quarterback return after an injury, it's just kind of a little sigh of relief. So I'm happy to see him back and ready to work. You can't teach that. You can't coach that. So yay for Dak.
My game ball goes to Sam Williams because there's no reason why he played as good as what he did. He was a monster out there, and I'm so excited to get to chat with him a little bit more and get to know him more. So Sam Williams gets my game ball, and that is going to do it for us here on this Tuesday edition of Girls Talk, Boys Talk, presented by Jigsaw Dating, the preferred dating app of the Dallas Cowboys. We will do it all again tomorrow.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys?